Nearly 95% of dreams vanish from memory within 10 minutes of waking, according to sleep laboratory measurements. By the end of this story, you will understand why the popular explanation for forgetting dreams is wrong. Most people believe forgetting dreams is simple. The brain just erases them. It sounds neat, almost mechanical, like a computer clearing temporary files. That idea repeats in books, podcasts, and casual conversation because it fits a comforting narrative. The mind protects itself by wiping strange nighttime experiences. Lesser known fact: controlled sleep studies show that people awaken directly during dreaming can recall vivid details over 80% of the time, proving dreams themselves are not inherently fragile. The common claim says dreams fade because they are meaningless noise. The brain, according to this story, simply refuses to store useless data. It sounds logical in an age of information overload. If the brain filters thousands of sensory signals during the day, surely it filters dreams at night? Lesser known fact: brain imaging shows that during REM sleep, regions involved in emotion and visual processing become highly active, while regions of logical reasoning temporarily quiet down. The missing detail nobody mentions is that memory formation requires a specific biochemical environment. Dreaming happens in almost the opposite environment. The neurotransmitter norepinephrine, which supports memory encoding, falls to extremely low levels during REM sleep. Lesser known fact: measurements of brain chemistry show norepinephrine activity during REM is sometimes near zero. Unlike waking states, cause leads directly to effect. When a person wakes up from a dream, the brain attempts to record the memory, but the conditions required for strong encoding were absent while the dream occurred. The result is a fragile memory trace that dissolves quickly unless reinforced. Lesser known fact: experiments where participants wrote down dreams immediately upon waking increased long-term recall by more than 50%. Imagine a battlefield scout trying to send a message through fog. The message exists, but the signal is weak and the environment unstable. Without reinforcement, it fades before reaching headquarters. Lesser known fact: sleep researchers often wake subjects every 5 to 10 minutes during REM periods to capture dream reports before memory fades. Another belief circulates widely: people forget dreams because dreams are too bizarre to remember. The claim says the brain rejects illogical stories. It feels believable because dream narratives often shift abruptly from one scene to another. Lesser known fact: studies comparing dream recall across cultures show that bizarre elements appear in less than 1/3 of reported dreams, far fewer than popular imagination suggests. Why does the myth persist? Because the few strange dreams people remember are the ones they talk about. Normal dreams, walking through familiar places, speaking with friends, rarely become memorable stories. The unusual ones dominate conversation and create a distorted sample. Lesser known fact: long-term dream diaries show that routine activities appear in approximately 65% of recorded dreams. The real explanation is less dramatic. Dreams feel strange because the brain regions responsible for critical evaluation are partially inactive during REM sleep. Without strong logical oversight, emotional and visual systems construct narratives freely. Lesser known fact: the prefrontal cortex, crucial for logical reasoning, shows significantly reduced activity. During REM sleep in neuroimaging scans, consider a night soldier navigating a battlefield with limited radio contact. The mission continues, but coordination weakens. Events occur without strict command structure. That is similar to how dreaming unfolds inside the brain. Lesser known fact: average REM periods lengthen during the night, growing from about 10 minutes early in sleep to nearly 40 minutes before waking. Another belief claims people forget dreams because they are not important. According to this story, the brain stores only valuable experiences and discards everything else. It sounds efficient, and practically, Lesser known fact: neuroscientists have found that dreams often replay fragments of recent experiences, suggesting involvement in memory processing rather than disposal. The missing constraint lies in timing. Dream recall depends heavily on the moment of awakening. If a person wakes during REM sleep, recall is likely. If waking occurs during deeper non-REM sleep, dream memory fades rapidly. Lesser known fact: adults cycle through 4 to 6 REM periods during a typical night of sleep. Cause and effect become clear when viewed through sleep architecture. The brain alternates between different states, each with distinct chemistry and electrical activity. Dream recall survives only when waking intersects the dreaming phase. Lesser known fact: EEG recordings show rapid eye movements during REM that correspond to bursts of brain activity in visual regions. Picture a reconnaissance aircraft capturing images only when passing over a target. If the camera activates at the wrong moment, the mission yields nothing. Dream memory follows a similar timing rule. Lesser known fact: laboratory awakenings from REM sleep produce dream reports 4 to 5 times more often than awakenings from non-REM sleep. A different myth insists that some people simply do not dream. The claim usually appears when someone says they never remember dreams at all. It sounds convincing because personal experience seems reliable. Lesser known fact: sleep laboratory monitoring shows that nearly all healthy adults exhibit REM cycles associated with dreaming. The misunderstanding comes from recall, not dreaming itself. People differ dramatically in how often they remember dreams. Some recall them almost every morning. Others remember only a few each year. Lesser known fact: surveys indicate that roughly 20% of people report frequent dream recall, while about 10% report almost none. Why does recall vary? Brain imaging suggests differences in activity within areas responsible for attention and memory. Individuals with stronger connectivity in these regions tend to wake more easily during REM sleep, increasing recall opportunities. Lesser known fact: frequent dream recallers often experience more brief awakenings during the night, sometimes lasting only seconds. A battlefield analogy clarifies the mechanism. 2 observers may witness the same event, but only one writes a report. The difference lies not in observation, but in documentation. Lesser known fact: sleep researchers call these brief awakenings microarousals, lasting typically 3 to 15 seconds. Another common story says alarm clocks erase dreams instantly. The idea feels correct because many people forget dreams after waking to a loud alarm. Yet the alarm itself is not the main cause. Lesser known fact: sudden awakenings from deep non-REM sleep produce confusion known as sleep inertia, which disrupts immediate memory formation. The real mechanism again involves timing. Alarm clocks often interrupt sleep during non-REM stages rather than REM. When awakening occurs outside a dreaming phase, recall drops dramatically. Lesser known fact: the probability of waking during REM increases in the final 2 hours of a typical sleep cycle. Imagine artillery arriving after the target has moved. The effort exists, but the timing misses the opportunity. The alarm clock becomes a coincidence rather than a cause. Lesser known fact: smart alarm systems attempt to wake users during lighter sleep phases to reduce sleep inertia. A persistent myth says dreams vanish because the brain is protecting itself from disturbing content. According to this story, forgetting serves as psychological defense. It sounds compassionate and dramatic. Lesser known fact: studies comparing recall of pleasant and unpleasant dreams show no consistent difference in forgetting rates. The missing element is again chemistry. Emotional intensity alone does not guarantee memory storage without the correct neurochemical environment. The brain must combine emotion with stable encoding conditions. Lesser known fact: the neurotransmitter acetylcholine rises sharply during REM sleep, supporting vivid imagery but not necessarily Long-term memory formation, cause and effect become visible through experiments. When participants wake repeatedly during REM and record dreams immediately, disturbing dreams remain vivid and memorable. The supposed defense mechanism disappears under observation. Lesser known fact, some clinical treatments for nightmares rely on rehearsal techniques that rewrite dream endings during waking hours. Picture a battlefield commander choosing not to file reports of difficult events. That decision would require deliberate control. Dream forgetting rarely involves such intentional processes. Lesser known fact, many dream reports collected in laboratories include mundane daily concerns rather than dramatic emotional scenes. Another belief suggests technology and modern lifestyles have reduced dream recall compared with the past. It sounds plausible because people sleep less and use screens late at night. Lesser known fact, historical records from dream diaries in the 19th century show recall rates similar to modern studies. The deeper constraint lies not in culture, but in biology. Human sleep cycles follow patterns shaped by circadian rhythms and brain chemistry. Technology can influence sleep quality, but does not fundamentally eliminate dreaming. Lesser known fact, circadian rhythms operate on roughly 24.2 hours in the absence of external time cues. Consider soldiers stationed in remote environments without clocks. Even without artificial schedules, their sleep cycles gradually shift according to internal rhythms. Dreams appear consistently regardless of cultural setting. Lesser known fact, isolated sleep experiments in underground bunkers confirmed these natural rhythm lengths. Another myth says dreams fade because the brain cannot distinguish them from imagination. According to this explanation, dreams disappear because they were never real experiences. Lesser known fact, brain scans show that sensory areas during dreams can activate almost as strongly as during waking perception. The missing detail is that memory does not require a physical reality. Imagined experiences can be stored if the encoding conditions exist. The problem with dreams lies again in chemistry and timing, not authenticity. Lesser known fact, athletes sometimes use mental rehearsal to improve performance by strengthening neural pathways without physical practice. Imagine a simulation exercise conducted during military training. Even though the event is artificial, the lessons remain real if documented. Dream experiences follow similar neural pathways. Lesser known fact, experiments show that practicing tasks in dreams may influence learning. Although evidence remains debated, across all these myths, a deeper driver appears repeatedly. The structure of sleep itself shapes memory of dreams. REM cycles, neurotransmitter patterns, and brief awakenings interact in a complex system. Forgetting emerges not from intention, but from biological design. Lesser known fact, humans spend approximately 2 hours each night in REM sleep across several cycles. This design serves multiple purposes. Dreaming appears connected to emotional processing, memory integration, and neural maintenance. But the brain does not prioritize storage of the dream narrative itself. Instead, it may preserve emotional insights or fragments of learning. Lesser known fact, studies of sleep deprivation show declines in emotional regulation and memory performance. The chain of causation becomes clear when traced step by step. During REM sleep, emotional and visual brain regions activate strongly. Logical control weakens. Neurochemical conditions limit stable memory encoding. If awakening occurs immediately and reinforcement happens quickly, dream recall survives. Otherwise, the memory fades rapidly. Lesser known fact, researchers estimate that the average person experiences 4 to 6 distinct dreams each night. The popular story of dreams disappearing because they are meaningless or suppressed fails under scrutiny. Forgetting emerges from the architecture of sleep itself. Dreams are not erased. They simply lack the biological support required for durable memory. War historians sometimes describe battle plans dissolving under the pressure of real terrain. And whether dream, memory behave similarly. The plan of the mind during sleep meets the chemistry of the brain, and only fragments survive the morning. What remains is a reminder that human experience does not always exist to be remembered. Sometimes the mind works through the night, solving problems in darkness, leaving only silence when the sun resides in controlled laboratory awakenings. Researchers found that when people are woken directly during REM sleep, over 80% can describe a dream in detail. Yet 10 minutes later, most of that description has already begun to fade. By the end of this story, you will see why the popular explanation for forgetting dreams misses the deeper mechanism of the brain. Many people believe forgetting dreams happens because the brain clears space. The idea spreads easily because it matches a modern image of the mind as a hard drive that deletes useless files. When a person wakes up unable to recall a dream, the explanation feels obvious. Lesser known fact: neurological recordings show that during REM sleep, the brain consumes almost as much energy as it does during full waking consciousness, which contradicts the idea of a passive or inactive state. Another belief claims dreams disappear simply because they were never important. According to this story, the brain sorts experiences overnight and discards dreams like background noise. The explanation sounds practical and efficient. Lesser known fact: sleep laboratories have recorded that people typically experience 4 to 6 REM periods per night, meaning the brain produces several distinct dream sequences every night. The missing detail rarely discussed involves the chemistry of memory formation. When people are awake, neurotransmitters such as norepinephrine and serotonin help stabilize memories. During REM sleep, levels of these chemicals drop dramatically. Lesser known fact: measurements in animal and human studies show that norepinephrine activity during REM sleep can fall to nearly undetectable levels. Cause leads directly to effect. When the brain creates vivid dream imagery without the chemical support required for strong memory encoding, the dream becomes difficult to store long term. The experience happens, but the recording system operates at reduced strength. Lesser known fact: sleep researchers often compare REM dreaming to a temporary simulation state of the brain. Imagine a reconnaissance drone flying over a battlefield without recording equipment activated. The mission occurs, but the footage disappears. Dreaming works similarly when the brain's encoding chemistry is suppressed. Lesser known fact: rapid eye movements during REM sleep were first identified in 1953 by researchers Eugene Aserinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman. Another common claim insists that people forget dreams because they are too strange to remember. The argument says bizarre events confuse the brain, causing the mind to reject them. The claim sounds reasonable because many remembered dreams contain impossible scenes. Lesser known fact: long-term dream diaries reveal that ordinary daily activities appear in roughly 2/3 of reported dreams. The reason the myth persists lies in selection bias. People remember and retell the most unusual dreams. Ordinary dreams vanish without discussion. Over time, memory of the unusual examples creates the illusion that all dreams are chaotic. Lesser known fact: psychological studies show that humans remember emotionally intense or unusual events 2 to 3 times more strongly than routine ones. The real explanation again leads back to brain systems. During REM sleep, the visual cortex and emotional centers of the brain become highly active, while regions responsible for logical reasoning reduce activity. This imbalance allows imaginative combinations of memories and emotions. Lesser known fact: imaging studies show decreased activity in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, an area associated with decision-making and rational thought. Consider a battlefield command post where intelligence officers are active but strategic. Oversight is temporarily absent. Information flows, but coordination weakens. Dreams follow a similar pattern of activity without strong executive control. Lesser known fact: REM sleep cycles tend to become longer toward morning, sometimes lasting nearly 40 minutes. A different belief claims some individuals simply do not dream. People often say this when they rarely recall dreams upon waking. The statement feels convincing because personal memory seems reliable. Lesser known fact: sleep laboratory monitoring demonstrates that almost every healthy adult experiences REM sleep associated with dreaming. The misunderstanding comes from recall, not from dreaming itself. Dream recall varies dramatically between individuals because of differences in sleep patterns and brain responsiveness. Some people wake briefly during REM sleep more often, giving them opportunities to store the dream memory. Lesser known fact: frequent dream recallers experience more micro-awakenings during sleep, often lasting only a few seconds. These micro-awakenings function like small windows. When the brain briefly transitions toward wakefulness during a dream, the memory has a chance to transfer into long-term storage. Without that moment of transition, the dream dissolves quickly. Lesser known fact: sleep scientists classify awakenings shorter than 15 seconds as microarousals. Imagine two observers witnessing the same battle. One writes a report immediately while the other walks away without documentation. Later, only one account survives. Dream recall depends on the same principle. Lesser known fact: keeping a dream journal beside the bed can increase recall frequency by more than 30% within weeks. Another widespread explanation blames alarm clocks for destroying dreams. The theory says sudden waking erases dream memory instantly. Many people feel this is true because alarm sounds interrupt sleep abruptly. Lesser known fact: sleep inertia. Groggy state after sudden waking can impair memory and attention for up to 30 minutes. However, the alarm itself is not the primary cause. The real issue again involves sleep states. Alarm clocks frequently wake people during non-REM sleep, when dreams are less vivid and memory traces weaker. Lesser known fact: REM sleep occurs more often in the final third of the night, increasing dream recall near morning. When waking happens during deep sleep stages instead of REM, the brain struggles to reconstruct dream memory. The dream may have occurred earlier, but the memory trace is already weakened. Lesser known fact: deep non-REM sleep, also called slow wave sleep, produces brain waves slower than 1 cycle per second. Imagine artillery arriving after the target has already moved away. The effort exists, but the timing fails. Dream recall depends heavily on that timing. Lesser known fact: some sleep tracking devices attempt to estimate sleep stages and wake users during lighter sleep phases. Another myth claims dreams fade because the brain intentionally hides disturbing content. According to this explanation, forgetting acts as psychological protection. It sounds plausible because some dreams contain intense emotional themes. Lesser known fact: clinical studies show that people suffering from frequent nightmares often remember those dreams more clearly, not less. The missing piece of the puzzle again involves neurochemistry. Emotional intensity alone does not guarantee memory storage. If the brain's encoding system remains suppressed, dreams may feel vivid but still lack stable memory formation. Lesser known fact: during REM sleep, the neurotransmitter acetylcholine rises significantly, supporting imagery and emotion but not strong memory consolidation. Experiments reveal the pattern clearly. When participants are awakened repeatedly during REM and immediately record their dreams, disturbing and pleasant dreams are remembered equally well. The supposed psychological filter disappears. Lesser known fact: dream reports collected in laboratories number in the tens of thousands, forming one of the largest psychological data sets of subjective experience. Picture a battlefield archive storing reports of all events, both positive and negative. The system records what is written down, not what is emotionally comfortable. Dream memory behaves the same way when documentation occurs immediately. Lesser known fact: researchers estimate that humans experience over 100,000 dreams during a lifetime. Another explanation suggests that modern lifestyles have reduced dream recall compared with earlier generations. The argument points to artificial, light, late-night screens, and shorter sleep schedules. While these factors can influence sleep quality, the core mechanism remains biological. Lesser-known fact: historical dream diaries from the 1800s show recall patterns remarkably similar to modern laboratory studies. Human sleep cycles evolved long before electric lighting or digital devices. The circadian rhythm that governs sleep operates within the brain's hypothalamus. This internal clock coordinates hormone release and body temperature across a roughly daily cycle. Lesser-known fact: the human circadian rhythm naturally runs slightly longer than 24 hours, averaging about 24.2, even in environments without clocks or sunlight. Sleep cycles continue to produce REM periods in dreams. This persistence reveals how deeply rooted dreaming is in human biology. Lesser-known fact: underground isolation experiments during the 20th century confirmed that circadian rhythms continue even without external time cues. Across these myths, a deeper system begins to emerge. Dream forgetting is not a failure of the brain, but a byproduct of how sleep works. REM sleep prioritizes emotional processing and neural reorganization rather than long-term storage of dream narratives. Lesser-known fact: studies suggest REM sleep helps regulate emotional reactions to experiences encountered during the day. During the night, the brain reorganizes information gathered during waking hours. Memories integrate, emotional responses adjust, and neural pathways strengthen or weaken. The dream itself may simply be the visible side effect of that internal process. Lesser-known fact: sleep deprivation experiments show declines in learning ability, reaction time, and emotional stability. The chain of cause becomes clear when traced carefully. During REM sleep, visual and emotional centers of the brain activate strongly. Logical control regions reduce activity. Memory encoding chemicals fall to minimal levels. If the sleeper wakes immediately and records the dream, recall survives. Without that transition, the dream fades quickly. Lesser-known fact: researchers estimate that people remember only about 5% of all dreams they experience. Popular culture often treats dreams like secret messages or hidden codes. The truth is less mysterious, but more fascinating. Dreams are part of a biological maintenance system operating each night. The stories they create are vivid, but not designed for permanent storage. Military historians often describe how battle plans dissolve when they meet real terrain, weather, and exhaustion. Memory of dreams dissolves in a similar way when it meets the chemistry of sleep. The mind works through the night, reorganizing experiences in darkness. When morning arrives, most of the stories disappear, leaving only a few fragments behind